Campbell Hatton was born on January 9, 2001 in Manchester, England, and from the very moment the world first saw him, there was an expectation attached to his name. Being the son of Ricky the Hitman Hatton, one of Britain's greatest boxing legends, meant Campbell grew up surrounded by the sounds of gloves thudding against punching bags, the smell of sweat in gyms, and the roar of crowds that once shook arenas for his father. Today, at just 24 years old, Campbell has begun carving out his own path inside the squared circle while living under the enormous shadow of a father loved, feared, and celebrated across the boxing world. Campbell didn't step into the ring immediately, though. He went through his education like any other kid in Manchester, attending St. Ambrose College in Altrincham. Those who knew him back then remember him as a quiet lad, but with a fire in his eyes whenever the subject of boxing came up. Teachers often whispered about the pressure of living up to a famous surname, but Campbell was never one to shrink away from it. He used it as fuel. When he finally laced up his gloves, the boxing world's eyes were already on him. Trained under the careful guidance of his uncle Matthew Hatton, himself a former professional fighter, Campbell debuted in March 2021. He was still a teenager then, raw and inexperienced, but determined to prove that the Hatton fighting spirit ran strong in his veins. His early fights were scrappy. He wasn't polished like a seasoned veteran, but his heart, grit, and relentless pressure in the ring screamed of his father's influence. Fans often remarked, "He looks like Ricky, fights like Ricky, and carries the same fire." It was clear. Campbell wasn't just another fighter. He was a Hatton through and through. As his career developed, Campbell picked up wins, silencing doubters who thought he might be in the sport only because of his surname. He worked tirelessly in the gym, posting grueling training sessions that showed he wanted to be more than Ricky's son. He wanted to be his own man. And while critics sometimes highlighted his lack of finesse, his sheer determination made him a crowd favorite. Promoters saw the same spark in him that made Ricky a box office king. But then came the heartbreaking news in September 2025. Ricky Hatton, the people's champion, was gone. The world of boxing stood still, and for Campbell the loss was not just of a father but of a mentor, a best friend, and his biggest supporter. Fans flooded social media with tributes, recalling Ricky's wars against Kostya Tseu, Floyd Mayweather, and Manny Pacquiao. But for Campbell, the greatest fight Ricky ever fought was not inside the ropes. It was the fight of being a loving dad who stood ringside for every step of his son's journey. When asked about his father's passing, Campbell gave a heartfelt tribute that left the boxing world in tears. He said, "My dad wasn't just a legend to the fans, he was my hero, my anchor. He gave me advice, love, and a belief in myself even when I doubted. I'll carry his spirit every time I step into the ring. He taught me how to fight, but more importantly, he taught me how to live with heart." And as preparations for Ricky's funeral began, Campbell made a touching statement about how he wanted it conducted. "Dad never wanted sadness to define him. He always said if people cry at my funeral they should also laugh, sing, and raise a pint for the good times. I want his send-off to be exactly that, a celebration. There will be tears, yes, but there should also be music, stories, and cheers. He fought like a warrior, but he lived like a joker, and that's how I want him remembered." Those words captured everything people loved about Ricky. A fighter in the ring, but a man of joy outside it. Beyond the grief, Campbell knows his father's passing has added even more weight to his own career. Now every punch he throws, every fight he takes, will carry the unspoken mission of honoring Ricky's legacy. And perhaps, that pressure will forge him into the champion his father always believed he could be. Away from the ring, Campbell is just as intriguing. Fans love that he's down-to-earth, approachable, and very much in tune with his roots. Unlike many young fighters who get carried away with fame, Campbell still spends time with old schoolmates, attends Manchester City matches, and never forgets to remind people that he's just a normal lad chasing extraordinary dreams. But make no mistake, behind his modesty is a burning ambition, to bring championship gold back to the Hatton name. So now with Ricky gone, the question is, can Campbell truly step out of his father's shadow and cement his own place in history? That's a story still being written, fight by fight, punch by punch. Viewers, what do you think? Will Campbell rise to carry the Hatton legacy to world champion level, or will the pressure prove too much? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you believe in him, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives behind the headlines.